Kelsey Nyland is a postdoctoral research scientist here at GW, and she is working on a project funded by the National Science Foundation called Circumpolar Active Layer Monitoring, also known as CALM.
Kelsey, where are you? There's in the back, okay. The program has, what, 300 sites, I think you said, around the Arctic, Antarctic, Alaska, monitoring permafrost and climate. Kelsey tells us ever so briefly about the research and what they're finding.
Every year, we bring students to collect new data, and a number of these sites have now reached data records greater than 25 years in length. So with long-term records, we can look at trends, and what we've observed is that there is indeed significant rapid climate warming occurring in Alaska, and we're seeing the response to the permafrost system. So when we have permafrost warming and thaw, it actually can damage infrastructure. So specifically, we look at something called ice cellars. We work in one village called Utqiagvik. This is formerly known as Barrow. It's the northernmost community in all of Alaska. And there, what they do is it's a majority Inupiat population. So they hunt bowhead whales, caribou, walrus, and many other large game. It doesn't fit in your typical freezer in your home. What they've done for millennia instead is actually excavate spaces into permafrost to store all the meats they've hunted. Now, what's unfortunately been happening, and it seems to be increasing over the last few decades, is that they're flooding and collapsing. It's also a really important component and plays into spirituality around the whale and relationships with nature. So when we see that ice cellars are no longer a confident way to store meats, it brings a lot of questions into play for the community. Not only how do we preserve the tradition and pass it along, but also questions about food security and even finance. It's well understood that based on long-term records, based on global scale models, climate change is happening much faster and to a greater extent in the Arctic. So we look to these Arctic communities as canaries in the coal mine. They are experiencing the first and some of the most dramatic negative impacts of climate change.